we want to just share from the Word today before we get on into the second half of this day. You know, it's good to be. It's just good to be in awareness that there is a God.
That's right. That's right.
And you acknowledge Him.
Yes.
Take time to acknowledge that there is a God. And when you acknowledge that there is a God, you know, the Bible teaches us these words: a fool has said in his heart, there is no God. That's what the Bible says. Not Paul Worson's word. The Bible says the fool has said in his heart, there is no God. And when you hear people start talking like there ain't no God, ain't nothing to that Jesus stuff, you're listening to a fool, according to the Bible. So the fool has said, there is no God. And it also says the fear of the Lord is the beginning of knowledge. It's the beginning of the fear of the Lord. Not scared like being scared of a monster, but you're in awe of God. You're in the reverence of God. It's a reverential fear where you reverence God and who He is. And let me tell you, a big way that we reverence God is that when you see how God has made a change in your life, what God has done in your life, that causes you to have an awe of God. Because hasn't there been situations and things in your life that you didn't know if you were going to get through, you didn't know if you could make it through, you didn't know if I was going to get out of this, and you come through it, and you look back and you're like, man, look where I'm at today.
That's right. That's right.
And that causes you to be in awe of God. Causes you to be like, God, you're so awesome. You know, you're so mighty. Look what you've done in my life. When I was in Kansas, in the hospital in Kansas back in 1981, and seeing what God has done after going through what I went through, and coming to a point where I realized God had to be in that situation to get me through it to this point today. When I look and see over my life the different things, when I had knives put on my throat, apparently for no reason. And so I'll cut you here, I'll cut you here, I'll cut your neck. For what? I'm just sitting in a chair, not bothering nobody. My cousin's up talking, running his mouth, and I'm the one getting the knife on my throat. But I think all he could have just hit the jugular. I'm bled out for no reason. But I have to factor in God. I have to factor God in. When I think about we were 13, 14-year-olds running around the streets here and riding motorcycles up and down the street all day long, up and down the tracks, the railroad tracks, 6:30 or so in the evening, the guy that's driving the motorcycle pulls into my mom's gateway and parks the bike for no reason. Mom walks out the door, says, all of my children get in the car, you're going to church tonight. Now, 13, 14-year-old boys that are playing motorcycles and rough, we ain't thinking about going to church, but because Mama said, get in the car. You know, one of the Mama said things, you know what I mean? Mama said, get in the car. All my children going to church tonight. Whole lot of children out there, but so Mama said, all my children going to church tonight. And I realized, as I look back and wonder and think about that, really that Mama said was for one person at that particular moment. Who? Me. Why? Because after we come to church 30, 40 minutes or whatever later, we get a report from the house that used to be right next door to the church as the lady comes screaming and hollering through the old screen doors that we used to have, you know, not the beautiful storm doors you got now, you know, the old screen doors, the wooden ones that open up and they splat. Spring doors. We got one on the back side of our house we put on there the other day just to get airflow. She's screaming and hollering. The assistant pastor at that time, Brother Benny, gets her calm down, and she says some words that sent chill through me. My nephew Glenn just got killed by a train. Prior to that moment, I was on the back of that motorcycle riding with Glenn all day long. I get off, a boy down the street gets on, named Dwayne Sharp gets on, and Dwayne and Glenn get killed by the train.
Wow. Man. Wow.
What has God shielded you from that you don't even know about?
That's right. Man.
You think it's just you driving on that highway and so perfectly driving?
Come on.
You know that.
Come on,
Because you run off the road all the time.
Come on, Pastor.
Going around curves, people in the back seat going, hitting the rumble strips and he's going around. Boy, if I get out of here, I ain't running at you no more. Hey, how many times have you been riding down the road and doing this?
That's right. That's right. Yep. That's right. Amen.
Several times.
Several times. There you go.
You've done it.
That's right.
God, that stuff we doing now, that texting and driving. One point in time, I took the texting off of my phone because I put it on there and I didn't know how to text yet. And I'm driving down the road trying to text and going over into hitting cars head on, and PJ's on the say, Dad. And I'm going over there and hit cars, and I look up the cars coming, and it don't even stop. It just keeps on barreling down, whether I'm coming at it or not. And I'm like, so I took it off. I said, I don't want it no more. But they talked me back into it when they told me I could get it for a penny or $1 or something. Sister Rita's my text police. Boy, you ain't driving my car, texting.
Come on.
I try not to. Just let it rain. It's not that important. Just let it go. If you can do it. Some of us are so tied to that phone that we can't even do it.
I'm scared every time I get on the road with my girl, and she's always in the phone on Facebook, texting. I gotta hold this steering wheel while she drives down the road.
Not necessary.
That's right.
I mean, I'm thinking about it. Those of you that are my age, I know it's a little bit younger than me, but those of you that are my age and older, do you remember when we just had a phone in the house? When it didn't matter who called you, if you wasn't home, they didn't get you.
That's right.
That's the one.
And we made it through to the point where we're here. I mean, if nobody was home that day and the phone didn't, and it just rung and it wasn't there, okay. Listen, there is nothing wrong with the cell phone. There's nothing wrong with having a cell phone and technology and having one on you, because a lot of cell phones that saved a lot of lives.
Yes.
I was out fishing the other day up at Honeywell Lake, and I was across the lake on that side, and the guy I pulled in was on the dam side, and everybody was fishing, just a normal day fishing, and all of a sudden the guy hollers across from the dam over to where we are behind the office, call 911. He's starting to run off the dam to go back to the blacktop. Y'all know where Honeywell Lake is on the blacktop. And so I'm thinking, because he said, call 911. So there's a guy fishing and talking to the office, call 911. I'm getting my phone out to call 911. The office is calling 911. And we all get in our cars and drive around there, and we get around there, there's a car. Well, before that, I saw that smoke or dust or whatever just go up, so I'm thinking something's on fire. We get around, looked up, the car's over in the ditch, wheels up. Wow. 911. Here comes the ambulance and the fire truck. So they needed. Why am I talking about cell phone today? That was not in time to talk about cell phone message. It must be for somebody. Yep. Just let it buzz or ring. They'll leave a message. And if it's really, really important, they'll leave a message. If they're just talking to chit chat, they'll call you back.
That's right.
I know I'm talking to myself too. Talking to us. Man, just let it ring. Maybe that's the message today. Just let it ring. God's phone, pick it up.
Come on now.
When God's calling, pick it up. And here's the thing I like about God. He'll keep calling.
That's right.
That's right.
He'll keep ringing
Yeah.
until you pick it up.
That's right.
And you pick it up. Hello,
Hello.
this is God.
Yes.
I need to talk to you. Wow. Listen, at one point in time, God has dialed all of our numbers. He dialed everybody's number in here at one point in time. He's dialed it. He's always sending the signal out.
That's right.
But it's up to us to pick it up.
That's right.
Now, you picked it up when alcohol called. You picked it up when drugs and marijuana has called. You picked it up when relationships have called. When the disco, back in my day, disco, your whatever you got today going on, the club or whatever you got going on, you pick it up. What about when God's calling? We know God reigns, we don't. We know that ring when God reigns. We know that. That's the ring of God. I know what that ring is. So we like, I ain't home. Don't act like you don't know. I guess that's the message for the day. I'm just going to go with it. That's the message for the day. Let it ring. If it's the other thing, if it's God ringing, pick it up. Why? He's got something to talk to you about. And let me tell you something. You want to hear God's message. And you know what? And here's the whole deal. He don't care. He'll leave a message for you.
That's right.
That's right.
He'll leave a message. This is God. Call me when you get in. Hold up. Yes, this is God. Call me when you get in. God, what do you mean when I get in? When you get in trouble enough, call me. When you've had enough, call me. When your head's spinning, call me. When it feels like you can't go no further, call me. I'll be right there. I'll be right there. Listen, I'm right here. All you gotta do is pick it up. Pick it up. Pick up. And when you pick up, listen, for years and years and years, for some of us, God's been ringing our phone. We won't pick it up. But now, guess what? We're realizing I better pick it up. And here's what happens, and listen to me. Here's what happens a lot of times. Sometimes we pick it up so late in life that we think it's all over. But let me tell you something. Nothing is ever lost with God. Because God said, I'll restore the years. I'll restore the years that the cankerworm, the palmer worm, the caterpillar has eaten up. I'll restore the years. Pick up. And you know, I said again, you know when God's ringing. I feel like God's ringing some people's phones in here today.
Last night I picked up, because I wanted to go out last night. I just stayed home. Someone was telling me to stay home, go to church in the morning. Like I didn't want to go somewhere last night and have people trying to get me to go out of town and stuff, go to parties, and I was like, you know, I'm just going to stay here with Patrick and just go to church tomorrow.
You stayed and had a good time around the fire last night. Just looking at the fire. That was God ringing the phone. I'll tell you, you know God's ringing. You know when God's ringing. We all know when God's ringing. Listen, some of you need to pick it up. Now, I'm not necessarily talking about picking up for salvation for some of you. Some of us need to pick it up for the things that God wants us to accomplish. He's ringing on things you go, well, how do I know when God's calling? When you keep getting that feeling that you should be doing something that you know you haven't done yet. When you know you keep getting that feeling that, Lord, I should start that business. That thing keeps coming about that business. That's God calling your number.
That's right. That's right, Pastor.
When you should be writing that book, singing them songs, and you ain't writing that book, and you ain't singing no song. That's God ringing your number. You know the number. You know what I'm talking about. Those of you know what I'm talking about. Know what I'm talking about. Know what I'm talking about.
That's right.
God's talking to you.
That's right.
Telling you to pick up.
Pick up. Amen.
For you and for others. Listen, you are so uniquely made. You are so wonderfully and so uniquely made that there's not another like you. Nobody can say it like you.
Right.
Nobody can write it like you.
Right.
Nobody can sing it like you. And if you don't pick up, then God, it's a missing voice to God. It's missing to God. And God wants to hear it so tough that he keeps on ringing your number. He's sending you out that text. Sometimes you get little random texts or you get little random things happen and you think, oh, it's just coincidence. Listen, here's how God really rings your number. When you sleep, you have a little dream. See, when you sleep, you shut down. Now he can really talk to you, and you keep getting that. You wake up with that dream. Man, I had this weird dream last night. I had a dream that I was in this play or I was doing this thing. That's God talking to you.
Yeah. That's good.
Pick up.
Pick up. That's good.
Events and things that are happening throughout your life, that's God talking to you. Pick up.
Yep.
When the devil talks, you pick up instantly. Don't shock me down when I'm preaching good right here. Let's go kick him. Yeah. God and God texts. He has a code that he texts you in. You know the code because it's to you. You know, we got the little texting code, and you text, and you got the little number, little thing you put in, you put the S in or whatever, S, shaking my head, SMH, LOL, and all that kind of stuff, and blah, blah, blah. You know the code. You texters, you know the codes. They are the code. When God talks to you, when God texts to you, he texts in code that you understand. Nobody else may not understand, but you understand. When he's talking to you. I really feel that in here today. Listen, there's some people in here today that God has been texting and ringing your phone about picking up on some of the things that he's wanting you to do to come through you. Because let me tell you something, hear these words. Because there's a people that is attached to your way of doing things. And God wants you to say it, do it, be it, so he can touch others' lives. It's the butterfly effect. Butterfly flaps its wings in China. By the time it gets to the United States of America, it's a category 5, 3, whatever hurricane. From just a flap of a butterfly's wing. Insignificant in China, but by the time it crosses all the way over to the United States, it's a category 5. Blowing stuff from here to New York. Listen, when you flap your wing, butterfly, and you do what God is telling you to do, it looks insignificant, but by the time God blows on it, by the time it hits the mainstream of the world, it's a major category. It's changing people's lives. What are you going to do with that? You cell phone generation. And here's the problem that God has. Humans think that they're too insignificant. And maybe to another human I might be. But every last one of us in here, from the youngest to the oldest, is significant to God. So much so that he created you, made you different from everybody on the planet. And he did not make a carbon copy. Wow. Nobody can say it like you. Nobody can write it like you. Nobody can do it like you. What are you going to do about it? Pick up. That's your answer. What are you going to do about it? All right, that's kind of weak. What are you going to do about it? Pick it up. Really?
Don't hang up. Pick it up.
Don't hang up, pick it up. Hang up the one phone, but pick up the other. Hang up the phone that says I'm insignificant. Hang up the phone that says, nobody wants it. Hang up the phone that says, man, God, hang up the phone. Listen, when you pick up God's phone, listen to this. When you pick up God's phone, He gives you all the grace that you need to complete the task. It's unmerited favor. He gives you favor. Listen, I'm just listening to a guy and he was talking the other day. Listen, you're 4 handshakes away from meeting anybody on this planet. The people that study that out, you're 4 handshakes away. So what do you mean? I shake hands with EJ. EJ shakes hands with Dad. Dad shakes hands with Gene. Gene knows somebody that I need to meet. He knows somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody. She knows somebody. Boy, if you just got what I just gave you right there, you pick up the phone. You might not have it all. You might not know. You might not be able to. But somebody that you know knows somebody that you need to know that knows somebody that you need to know. And next thing you know, you're a full-fledged butterfly hurricane impacting the earth. Are you ready? Yeah. Listen. Here's the kicker. The caterpillar puts himself in the cocoon. That's the kicker. He spins himself in, or she, whatever, they spin themselves in the cocoon. What's that mean? They go into solitude. They go into a world that they've never been in before. Like that. They shut out all the outside. And it's just themselves in the cocoon. But what goes in looks completely different than what comes out. What went in was an inchworm moving around on a branch of a tree eating leaves. So when it spins itself in and it fights its way out, now it can fly 500 miles by itself. Hey, caterpillars. Oh, caterpillars. Spin yourself in. Listen. It is a metamorphosis. It's what it's called, metamorphosize. It metamorphosizes into something different. You're not here on this earth just because. You're on this earth because in the knowing of God, you was the one that reached the egg first. In the process of God to fertilize, to get you here. And God saw you. He saw you. You swam everybody and said, I'm going to the earth. And God says, I'm going to put a stamp on that one. And when they come through, and when they get on the planet, they're going to make such a difference on the planet. They're going to be somebody on the planet that I put something of myself in them. I put my touch on them. I put my touch in who they are. And when they hit that planet, and when they come through that cocoon time of their self, when they spin themselves in with me, and when they come out of that cocoon, my God, they're going to make such a difference on planet Earth. I am so proud of them. I'm so glad they were born. I'm so glad they come through. Yeah. Now, I want them to get up and be all they can be. I want you to do all you can do because God says you should be here. God orchestrated you being here.
That's right.
He said before you was even in the womb, I knew you.
That's right.
And I ordained something in you for the earth. And you think, but some people just pass it off. I used to talk to people all the time that write poetry, and they were poets. And the problem I had with them is they thought it was insignificant. Oh, it ain't nothing. That's what I'm saying. If I was God, I'd smack them upside the head. Don't you know it's a design of God in you? People, we run past. We running into all this other stuff as far as what man has set up. But the divine of you, listen, the divine of you. They tell me this part of the brain is called the I am. Oh, you just missed it. What comes from back here, be careful, knock something out of there. When it passes through the I am, passes to the front part of the brain, comes to fruition. You know what I'm saying? In the back of my mind, I had these thoughts. You're right, it's in the back of your mind. But you need to let it come through the I am. That's what they call this part, the I am. I believe it's the God part. Whether it's trauma, if you never get it to pass through the I am, it stays locked. Listen, and it holds you. But when you can get it to pass to the I am, to the front part, you can dislodge it and get on past it. It's the same way it is with your creativity. It's the same way it is with the thing that God has given you to do. Y'all ready for that?
Amen.
You just want to sit around and just go through life and just like, man, just like it's, I'm there. Even when people tell me these words, and I've talked to them, who knows how many number of people through here, and people tell me, well, my parents told me I was a mistake. I want to smack your head on their head. You are not no mistake. What they tell me that they was really wanting to have no more children, and I'm a mistake, and you listen, and then they damage those people. They have damaged those children when they're a child, and they tell it when they're a child. Now they're 30. I was talking to a lady who's 1 year older than me, 53 years old, I'm 52, and she was telling me that the other day. And I said, I don't believe it. I don't believe you're no mistake. Well, my parents told me, I don't believe it. I believe God had a purpose for the sperm and the egg coming together to produce you. That's why you're here. And you need to find out why. Well, that's what they told me. There's more to you than just a mistake. You're not a mistake. Because if you was a mistake, here's what I believe it, if you was a mistake, like possibly you might have the same fingerprints as her. If it's a mistake. But your fingerprints are different from everybody else on the planet. So that lets me know that there was an intelligence that put you together.
That's good.
An intelligence that puts you together in the DNA process, in the making process. An intelligence puts you together that you're still different from everybody else. Fingerprint-wise.
That's right.
If you're a mistake, you might have the same fingerprint as somebody on the earth.
Come on now.
That's good.
Come
I
on,
like
Pastor.
that.
Come on
I like
now.
that.
Come on, Pastor.
But you don't.
Oh, man. Come on now.
Look at you with your divine of God on you and in you. You are divine of God. And He made you and created you. What I like about God, it don't matter what age you are. I mean, Moses was 80 years old before he got his assignment. And stayed out there in the desert for 40 years. I mean, I can't imagine being no 110 degrees or 20 degrees, whatever, every day, and then down to 30 or whatever freezing at night for 40 years. But when God did it, it worked out. Amen. Y'all ready for that? I don't know. Listen, I was going to talk about something else today, but I just felt like I was supposed to say to somebody, pick up.
Pick up.
Better for God.
He's ringing. Listen, you hear the phone ringing, don't you? Hey, y'all, I'm talking to you. And you. Do you hear the phone ringing?
That's right.
Are you going to pick up? When I realized that God wanted me, and I realized that all the things that I've been through, the knives, 2 times, 2 different people, one here, one out of Kansas, knife in my throat. Again, other people, I'm getting it. Because I'm naive, dummy when it comes to being out in stuff going on in the world. I just want to have a good time. Forget all the fighting, arguing, fussing, killing, and all that stuff. I just want to have a good time. But not everybody wants to have a good time. Some people want to kill. Some people want to shoot. Some people want to fight. Somebody say somebody wants to act a monkey. That's what they say. But when I realized God wanted me, He had a plan for my life. Caused me to be at peace with myself. And I realized God loved me. Fall, messed up, didn't do well in school, had issues throughout my school career, but God wanted me. To the point that God helped me to become smarter after school than I was all through school. I was smarter. I educated myself with God after school. To the point where 2 people told me these words. One guy in St. Louis told me, you know what, he said, you said you was a pastor? Yeah. Do you have people in your family that come to your church? I said, yeah, at this time, almost all my brothers and sisters was here. And he said, they're coming listening to you, and you think you're the dumbest in the family?
That's right.
He was knocking me in. He said, they're listening to you, and you said they all got A's and B's and C's, and my high stuff was C's, D's, and F's. And you said they're coming listening to you talk? He said these words. It might possibly be you're the smartest in the family. Metamorphosis.
Right. Come on.
When I was in South Dakota, and I was giving a prophetic word, and the guy got up